Podcasting from Woodstock, Georgia, welcome to Soul Solutions, a show where we overcome our fears and our limiting beliefs. I'm your host, author, and certified life coach, Terry Kozlowski. Episode 31, How to Accept Our Weaknesses for Personal Growth. Weaknesses are those areas of our lives the ego uses against us. Our inner critic reminds us of those things that we don't do well. But we aren't meant to be good at everything. Our individual skill sets are unique and supposed to differ from others. I took business courses in college and had a minor in accounting. I can keep my accounts balanced, determine profit loss, but I am not good at doing taxes. I spent 2 years doing them myself and each year pay taxes after getting refunds most of my life. Obviously, there's a limitation in my skill set. Could I learn how to do my taxes effectively? Sure. But is it the best use of my time when my soul wants me to write and coach others? Probably not. So allowing my egoic mind to make me feel bad about myself is a waste of time and energy, especially when I can easily have someone else who is excellent at doing taxes take care of them for me. But many of us permit the ego to focus on areas where we don't thrive, keeping us stuck and feeling negative about ourselves. When we know the areas where we don't thrive, it keeps us from exerting energy ineffectively. Understanding weaknesses versus strengths. We all have innate abilities. Each of us also has those things that we're passionate about doing. When our passion and talents collide, those areas are where our soul wants us to be. This inspired action usually is where we find ourselves in a flow state and lose time and enjoy our work. The effort we put towards those things that enthuse us is our mission, our purpose. But when we are doing things we dislike or find frustrating, we may need to consider the effort we are putting out is not the best thing for us to do. I'm not saying we won't get frustrated doing those things we enjoy. Still, when we come upon an obstacle, we can easily overcome it because our minds are open. When we dislike what we are working on, the ego will quit if it gets irritated. Our strengths are a combination of our innate skill set, our passion, and where we feel confident. Our weaknesses may be areas where we do well, but don't make us feel self-assured. We feel weak, even if we did something good enough. So why do we do things that don't inspire us or make us feel inadequate? We can't avoid those areas where we don't thrive, but if we are aware of them, we can do the best we can, even if it means we hire somebody else to do our taxes. When we can focus on what we do best, our influence will be more significant and our happiness will increase. Not two sides of the same coin. Dr. Don Clifton helps psychology to focus on what makes a person well-adjusted. His focus was a strength-based approach to helping others instead of trying to fix their shortcomings. Limitations are not always negative. In a dualistic, egoic world, we think weakness is the opposite of strength. But in reality, it means that we don't have an innate ability in a specific area. It's the absence of natural aptitude. Again, I can learn to do my taxes, but it doesn't mean I'll ever enjoy doing the work, and I certainly wouldn't want to be a tax consultant. We know many people who have jobs they can do, but don't enjoy. And many of these people are miserable. And when we see someone who loves the work they do, they excel. We can see their confidence, joy, and know they are genuinely concerned about what they produce. Our strengths rise from our inborn talents, which fuels us to continue to learn and grow. Our growth mindset is a natural state when our abilities and passion collide. We can't take an area where we don't have a natural ability and make it a genuine strength. We can learn about it, practice, and gain aptitude, but we base an actual strength on an underlying ability that we consciously choose to develop. We don't need to be fixed. There is, and there never has been, anything about us that needs fixing. We were born whole, and despite any traumas we may have endured, we are still whole. So the idea of fixing a weakness is a lie of the ego to keep us stuck. We can learn to do new things. We can change our behaviors and gain understanding. But those areas in which we are not innately gifted aren't something to be fixed. When we realize our weaknesses, we can take responsibility by managing them. We can use our strengths to decrease their undesirable effect. Those things that come easily to us, we often take for granted. But these are the areas that we have our gifts. It's the lie of the ego that only when something is difficult and hard is it valuable. So we invest time, money, and effort in those areas in which we struggle, instead of those that come effortlessly to us. If we invested our time, money, and effort in those areas we enjoy and can do without difficulty, think of how much more we can give to others. Mastery is the capacity to invest in the areas where we already have a natural tendency to excel. Are we allowing our weaknesses to hinder us? When we know those areas where we have inadequacies, it helps us develop our strengths and move towards our dreams. Our acknowledgement of our weak points mean we don't allow the ego to hinder our progress. Those things about our personality that hold us back don't have to. When we see an area that needs improvement, we have options. We can learn a bit more about that area so we aren't incompetent, or know we need to ask someone for help when a particular issue arises. This knowing builds our confidence and our ability to make a decision and move us forward. Building our self-confidence is essential when we are looking at our strengths and weaknesses. This assurance arises from our soul. When we get quiet and hear the encouraging whispers of our hearts, it enables us to see that we don't need to do everything perfectly. Being competent may be all that we need to accomplish. Remember, a weak area isn't a problem unless we allow the ego to focus on that area and keep us moving towards our dreams. We need to accept this part of us and build up our confidence in those areas to make wise decisions. How? By spending time in the areas we excel, knowing when to delegate to someone more proficient, and reduce our stress by focusing on those areas in which we thrive. Are our behaviors weaknesses? The areas in which we rarely succeed, the ego sees as a weakness. But the egoic mind has a limited viewpoint. Let's look at those areas where we don't excel with compassionate eyes to see the truth. If we have little or no experience in an area, doesn't mean it's a disadvantage for us. Maybe we didn't have any previous reason to explore this skill or weren't aware of how to investigate the subject. If it doesn't interest us, let it pass and move on. But if we're curious, then take the time to study the new topic. Maybe there are things we need to unlearn. Because we believed untruth someone taught us or told us, and now we have limiting belief that hinders our progress. I unwittingly believed that I wasn't creative because an art teacher made a comment to me in high school. This lie that I chose to believe kept me from painting for over 25 years. If we don't have resources, support, or self-discipline, maybe we didn't have the opportunity to grow to our full potential. As told in my new book, Raven Transcending Fear, my childhood trauma kept me from growing as I needed to. I stayed trapped in the egoic mind for over a decade. Once I received the support, resources, and the self-discipline to work through the healing process, I could thrive in these areas that I had little confidence in but had natural talents. Assessing our strengths and weaknesses. To determine those areas that hold us back from living the life we desire, we need to ask ourselves some questions. What's holding me back? In what areas have I always struggled? What limiting beliefs do I need to unlearn? What areas do I need to build confidence in so I feel competent? Are there certain situations I have more difficulty? Are there issues arising from my personality quirks or my mood? Do I need more experience in an area for me to thrive? Are there ways for me to manage this weakness better? When we evaluate our answers, we can determine if one area's weakness is actually a strength in another. For example, I'm a recovering control freak, which means I have a place for everything, and everything is in its place. But many people only see that I'm well organized. So how we view our weakness or our strengths is different in the situations that we have. Our responses to the questions help us provide solutions to our choices as we move forward to create the life we desire. We can focus on our strengths and limit the effect our weaknesses have on our dreams, but we need to know what our dreams are. What skill sets do we already have to help us meet our goals? What do I need to learn to help me achieve my desires? Do I need to rearrange my priorities to accomplish my goals? If our dream aligns with our skill set, we can easily move forward with little concern of those areas that we don't excel. If not, maybe we need to reevaluate what we truly desire to determine how we will gain the skills we need. Moving forward. Our tribe can help us see those areas where we're strong and areas that need improvement. Ask them to help us evaluate our skill set. When we share our perceived weaknesses with others, we discover that we strengthen our bonds with them. When we look with compassionate eyes, we see our authentic selves. We see those areas that we are passionate about and those areas that we are less competent in. But through it all, we realize that our authentic self is all we need to be. Others in our lives can help us in areas where we are less confident. That's why we have friends, family, and coworkers. Do you need support to help you understand those weak areas as well as your strengths? Do you want a strategy to help you overcome the ego's limiting beliefs and live a successful life? If so, please reach out to me at terrykozlowski.com and we can put together an action plan for you to create the life you desire. Don't forget to check out my book, Raven Transcending Fear, which is now available on Amazon in both paperback and Kindle. The links are in the show notes, or you can go to raventranscendingfear.com. Thanks for listening to Soul Solutions with Terry Kozlowski. If you'd like the show and want to learn more, check out terrykozlowski.com, where you can find the links to everything we talked about in this episode. Please subscribe to the show so you'll never miss an episode as we overcome our fears and our limiting beliefs.